Are men who use reusable totes a little soft? This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Bought these other shirts. Hey, welcome to the focus group. John and I are going through our wardrobe. We hope you... we're glad you're joining us here on Wednesday, August 14th, in the doldrums of summer. And thanks for tuning in. We're every Wednesday at 1 p.m. East. Be sure to follow along with us at focusgroupradio.com at all of our social media. Thanks to all of you that are enjoying our Tuesday podcast, which is TFG Unbuttoned, released every Tuesday morning. If you go to focusgroupradio.com, you can find links to our podcast there as well as all the other platforms, both audio and video, for our show. Hello, Mr. Nash.
Mr. Bennett.
How are you?
I'm doing good, and I did something a while ago that has caused a kind of a funny ripple in my home life.
Uh-oh.
So when I was taking my animation coursework, we had to do sketching every week. We had to capture a pose, line of action. Usually it's a person doing something, kicking a soccer ball, running, whatever. And one thing that helps an artist figure out proportion and a bunch of stuff is like a little model of the human being. You've seen them in stores, the wooden figures.
The wood things.
Well, I'm online the other day, and I'm in this animation forum, and some guy had posted, he said, hey animators, if you want something inexpensive to use to pose, check out these human figures that this Japanese company makes. Well, I go onto the site and I see they have two varieties. It's basically what it is a steel skeleton with 28 different joints replicating the body, the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, and it's covered by this, they call it like surgical grade rubber, and it's to the touch it feels almost like skin. And you buy the body, and then you have to buy a separate head to clip on, and the head could be like Jake Gyllenhaal, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I buy the doll, right? I buy this thing.
For what?
So I can pose him, and I could draw him. And the unique thing about the doll, this action figure, it's weighted correctly so that if you set it up like a human, it will balance correctly. So that's how you know where your center of gravity is, the whole bit. Well,
what did this cost?
It was like, I think, $80 or something. Well, I didn't want to. I
bought a Barbie.
I could have bought there's a new line of Barbies coming out, Star Wars Barbies.
Oh.
And there's a Barbie with the Darth Vader cape on. And anyway.
You're kidding me.
I know. Everything's Star Wars. So this doll arrives, but the head was separate, the separate purchase.
What head did you get?
I got a neutral kind of head, but the guy has a stern look on his face. But I showed my doorman, actually. He goes, my God, look at the detail. I mean, someone somewhere painted like little stubble on and the eyes. Clip on the head, and I'm posing the thing, and I do this pose where the guy, it looks like he's almost going to run, and it's crouching down, and I'm like, Bob, look, I could create a pose, I could set it up, I could draw it, I could. So Bob's looking at the accessory bag that came with the doll, right? And he's not paying any attention to me. I'm like, look, it's got a center of gravity, and I can move the shoulders, I can do all this stuff. He dumps the accessory bag. He goes, what are these things? And he pulls 3 little things out, and they were genitalia. So the first genitalia was a penis in a flaccid state, unexcited, right? And
Was it size correct?
Absolutely correct.
Supposedly, allegedly,
for the doll. Yeah,
the doll.
It even included
anatomically correct.
It even included that little patch of hair there.
You're kidding me.
Not painted.
You have a picture of this thing?
Painted, no, and I should have. So then he pulls this other thing out of the little accessory pouch, and it's a semi-erect penis. So it's not like flaccid, it's not full flagpole, but it's something in between. And the way these things, you just stick it to the because of the rubber, it just sticks until it like falls off later or something. But naturally, Bob being Bob, I'm saying this in the most loving of ways, he was obsessed with the fact that the doll came with these.
Yeah, why would it?
And then for the final, so then I do a pose where I do a thing where the guy's as if he's looking up into the sky, like bending backwards, and Bob plants right on the crotch, the erect penis accessory. And I look at him and he goes, look, look. I'm like, yeah. I said, are we like going to do school kid stuff all day and play with the genitalia? He goes, I think this is the coolest thing in the world. He goes, look at, they sent you 3 genitalia. I go online and I didn't realize this. No one mentioned it in the art forum they were all like, this is a great model. You could pose it. You could draw it. Buy whatever head you want. Doesn't matter because you don't care about the head. You're getting line of action. No one mentioned this, but I go to, I dig into the Amazon reviews because I didn't pay attention. I knew what I was buying. Review after review. Hey, everybody, does this come with genitalia? Like, why would you include this, right? Like,
From Japan. Yeah, well, they're not hung up on that sort of thing, but I think it's odd. And the fact that it give you 3 different ones. It's like giving you a David with...
It also gave you 4 sets of hands, like an open hand, a fist, a semi-closed, relaxed, like so you could pose it, right?
But wouldn't you be, if you were drawing it, would you...
You wouldn't care about the genitalia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, and particularly to have 3 different versions of it.
Tumescent or flaccid,
You'd probably have a pair of pants or something.
Came with a pair of shorts. Okay, so Bob again.
Did you dress it with a boner?
He's obsessed. Well, obsessed with this, right? So he takes the little shorts out, and I said, no. I said the shorts are not going on. What are you, prude? What are you, prude? Look, it came with 3. I'm like, it's not about that. I said, just don't do it. He starts sliding the shorts on. I said, honey, I told you not to put the shorts on the dolly.
Why?
Because it stains. And I said, you have to wash them first before you put it on. It's going to leave a mark on the rubber, this synthetic, surgical grade, human-like rubber. Can I tell you, though, I love this thing because every morning there's a website I go to, and it's called Pose of the Day. And it's for artists. And basically, you're supposed to draw it, but I take the picture and I pose the doll out, and I learn things like where the hips are supposed to be, where the shoulders are supposed to be. It's just for...
This is a colossal waste of your time.
I know it is not.
This is unbelievable to me. You spent $80 for this thing.
Yeah, well, you did.
You can't draw. You know how to draw?
Yeah, I can draw.
So what are you going to draw?
I'm just learning about line of action, about weight, about giving something weight. Weight's a big thing with animation.
And then what?
It's just to do that with. You know, it's just fun. It's just something to do. Keeps my skills set up.
I'm going to buy a xylophone. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. You could be like Bob when Bob wanted to learn piano. I came home from a business trip. This is many years ago.
Electric keyboard?
Came home from a trip to San Diego. He had the Moog. He had the keyboard set up, and there's a little book out that says, you can learn piano.
See, I would do that.
He wanted to be like Liberace.
Yeah.
And I know that you always wanted to learn how to play piano, but the keyboard lasted for a little while, and that keyboard cost a lot more than the doll with the little genitalia, believe me. So I had to hide the props. I said, the props are going away. Okay, props are going away.
So we pose the dolly every morning.
Not every morning, but I do marvel at the fact that it looks terrific. It's of course they modeled this doll.
How tall is it?
12 inches. They modeled the doll to resemble like a muscled guy, but not overly muscled. You could buy different kinds. You could buy a female. You could buy a super muscle guy.
Was he circumcised or uncircumcised?
That's it. Garrett found it.
Oh, okay, John. Wait a minute now. So are you kidding me? Is this what you bought?
Garrett, what does the description say? Yeah, Garrett,
It's a nude model.
This is it. This is exactly it. Look, he could pose him.
Realistic silicone body with male genitalia, John.
I just ordered it.
It's right there in the headline.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, there you go. It doesn't show the genitalia, though. Oh, wait, there's the things. Go in on those. Here's the hands. Look at the way the one hand is. Where do you think that hand's going?
And I think someone photoshopped that one genitalia accessory. It's not as big as that, but they definitely played around. Yeah, so
You didn't see any of this.
I just
didn't notice any of that.
Because I did it. I went through a link to a different version of this from an artist forum, like an animation forum, and it was only after the thing arrived that then we started to look. I was like, oh my God, it comes with all this stuff.
It's like buying a blow-up doll. It's a pool toy. I didn't know it was a blow-up doll. I thought it was a pool toy.
I thought you'd get a real kick out of this little.
I find this whole thing odd.
See?
I really do.
But look at now. Imagine posing that, right? That looks like a real. I mean.
Yeah, but I don't understand the fascination with the genitalia.
I don't have a fascination with
No,
it.
I mean, but the doll. I mean, that's the thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they got to blur it out here and look at the hands.
Well, that's, yeah, you clip on the hands you want.
Do you have toes?
His feet are uniformly the same. They don't, yeah, he has little toes, yeah. And you could buy different.
Did you name him? Got to give him a name.
Call him the doll.
Listeners, if you have a name for John's little dolly,
My artist doll.
send it to letters at focusgroupradio.com.
The reason I did
give
this
us a call.
The reason I did this is years ago. Oh, look, it's Billy's going to chime in. Hey, Billy.
Can you believe this, Billy?
Hey, Billy.
I know what I'm getting for Christmas.
Billy, the thing is hysterical. When you feel the skin.
but John, is it proportional?
Yeah, it's a proportional.
Yeah, the answer is yes. Well, Bob seems to think that they made the add-on genitalia a little smaller than it should be. And the head's a little.
It's always a little smaller than it should be.
Well, it is Japanese, but...
Hey, Billy, before we forget, how's your partner doing?
Oh, he's good. Fully functional.
All recovered from the surgery?
Well, yeah, I gave it a road test the other night.
I need to get the dolly.
Maybe he needs the dolly. Have you been flying at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Not too much.
You've had some nice weather for it. I was on a bike ride the other day, and I was going right by one end of the Kleinkill Airport. I think you've flown in there, haven't you?
Yeah, they have their fly-in breakfast next month.
Oh, you and I got to be in touch, because if I'm going to be up, I want to see you at the airfield. But as I was riding by, I think the wind was going in the direction that allowed the plane to land. Like it flew a biplane. It looked like, yeah, yellow biplane flew right over my head. I think it always feels like you'd reach up and touch the wheels, but it was really close because he was coming in for a landing. Really cool thing. Billy flies into an airport near our house, like a grass. It's a grass strip, but they keep it really nice.
Yeah, that's. I believe the 14th or 15th is a Saturday. You know, John, you know how the days go, so you can probably tell me what day is Saturday next month.
Well, we have the 28th, the next, the 28, 29, 30. So it's going to be 7. Yeah, it's a Saturday. I think it's going to be Saturday the 14th. Saturday the 14th or 15th.
Yeah, see, you just know these things.
And apparently I know where to buy anatomically correct, what I thought was an artist model. Now, people buy these dolls, by the way, and you could buy clothes for them, too.
Who needs clothes? Anyway, Tim, Lumen products, how you doing with yours?
I like them. You know, I actually today in the shower, I have it on the side of my on my shower, and I do the scrub, and then I do the wash, the charcoal wash, and then I put the moisturizer on at the end. I've been moisturizing my face since I was, I don't know, in my early 20s. I do it every day.
Oh.
And
Edwin and I both did Mass on Saturday night, and I looked at him and I said, "We are so gay."
Did you do the Queen Helene facial mask?
Green. It was a green?
There's a Queen Helene one, the mint julep for your
aloe.
face. Yeah. Well, get these Lumen. You'll like this Lumen stuff. It really tightens your face
Is it
up nice.
lumenskin.com
Oh, I have
/focus?
it. I'm using it, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So, you know, Billy, I've been using it a lot now that and I'm actually really happy with it. And Tim's not lying. It's about a minute and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's easy, breezy, and I love the way it makes my skin
The
feel.
only problem is on those little jars, my best glasses do not cut it when you have to read the directions.
Okay, we talked
said the
about
same
this.
thing,
We talked
right.
about this. I only use readers occasionally. I had to put them on, and I had a magnifying glass on top of the readers. And I thought to myself, well, okay, it's probably marketed to guys in their early 20s who have, like, Superman eyesight, right?
I have an old boss who used to always have a magnifying glass on his desk, and now I do the same thing, and I laugh because I'm like, Phil, what are you doing? We have another client we're working with, Billy, who's got the same situation with their boxes. I think the type is way too, for who their customer is, it's too hard to read.
Yeah,
and so
but you can see your name, but other than that, I have the magnifying glass to read dime size and for 20 seconds.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. That's a good point.
He got the dime size. That's for the wash for 20 seconds.
All right, I'm going to go polish the wheels on my walker, so I'll catch you later.
Thanks, Billy.
And get yourself a dolly.
Thank you. Remember me at Christmas.
Thanks, Billy.
This dolly thing, I don't know.
I thought you'd get a kick out of it. You know, I don't buy a lot of. I hit the buy button.
What was it, late at night?
It was.
Did
It was
you
the
have
night.
a drink?
Remember, Bob's family was visiting a few weekends ago.
You were mad.
No. I came back to the city on a Saturday. I got to the.
Did you have a
apartment.
drink?
I had a drink. I also had something else. I watched a movie.
So we decided to shop late at night.
And I and I thought, I want this thing so I could sketch or do whatever. And the next morning I woke up, I thought, I should cancel the order. And because Amazon sent a note saying, your order shipped. I was like, oh, no, that was a mistake. I shouldn't buy the rubber dolly. But you know what? I got to tell you something. I like the doll.
I want you to bring that in the next time we have a live show, and I want you to set it right here, and I want you to pose it.
I'll bring it in.
Bring the
pose,
genitalia.
Yeah. You trust me, you're going to be, especially...
All right, I want to see it. I do like playing with things
This
like
dolly has a nice caboose, as we say. I don't know who they modeled this thing after, but he's a good-looking guy.
Well, there you go. So what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Okay. Tim and I, or me and Tim and I. It's actually me and Tim.
Me?
Tim and me
What
and
are you supposed to say? We always say it wrong.
Me and Tim. We hail from advertising and marketing. We've both been in the industry for most of our professional careers, starting probably in our mid-20s.
Yeah.
And you know, I honestly say sometimes to me it was an accidental career falling into advertising. I liked graphic design and typography. And advertising, I think the reason I like it so much is when it's done right, it makes me laugh and I remember something. There are 3 areas that I hate being a consumer for: buying a new car, dealing with tires, or any tire store.
Why tires?
I hate the upsell. I hate the whole upsell.
Say no. N-O.
You're good at this.
You just say no.
Well, you and I say no at different times. You got a tire package. I got the. You don't always say no. Sometimes you walk out with something on that.
I didn't get anything this time.
No, you did. You did good, and I like your car. So we were Bob and I were watching TV the other day, and this ad comes on, and we both bust out laughing at the same time because it's about this thing on cars that always scares the crap out of me when it comes on. So Steve's going to play a commercial here, and the company is Discount Tire.
Oh, look. It's our dramatic little friend, the tire pressure light. So bright, so needy. What does it even mean? A drop in air temperature? A moody sensor? Good thing there are people down the street who check pressure, never apply it. Since 1960, you know we got your back and your front. Come into Discount Tire and let's get you taken care of.
People who check your pressure, they don't apply it. That tire pressure light drives me crazy. 9 times out of 10, it means nothing, but the one time you ignore it.
Oh my God, I'm in a crazy town. I've got the dolly. Now I've got this pressure light. Are you kidding me?
You don't like that ad? You didn't think
This pressure thing bothers you?
Oh, it bothers the hell out of me, yeah. All right, I'll tell you why. Tim learns, we've known each other since high school, and you still learn something new every day. So the other day, Tim, I'll just quickly say, I was telling you something. I told you about this new car thing. I stop, you look at me. It's over. It's over. We're moving. You got it. We're moving on. Which made me feel great, by the way. So
You can't fester.
This tire thing, though. So on a bicycle, if you have a tire problem, you're screwed. They're tiny little tires, right? In a car, I always think tires are really important in a car. I don't want to be underinflated. I don't want to be overinflated. I want good mileage. But as I said, 5 or 9 times out of 10, when that light comes on, the air changed. Like it went from
really cold, really hot.
Yeah, exactly. But then there's the one time it actually is telling you something. There's a bolt in the tire or something. You know what I'm getting at. So I thought it was a funny little take on a little thing on the dashboard that totally.
All those lights on your dashboard. The only time you have to worry is if it's a total blackout or it's blinking. If it just comes on, ignore it.
What are you talking about the blinking thing?
If your light is blinking, I don't care what it is, check engine. If
whatever.
It's blinking, there's a problem. If it comes on, it's a computer issue. Don't even worry about it. Shut it off, start the car again.
You heard it from Tim, but I wouldn't trust that. I'm going to push back against that.
Listen, I'm going to rerun the show when we do a rerun of you with the gas thing when we were in Oregon, Eastern Oregon, your old lady Nellie.
Gas
when
light came on.
We had 60 miles left on the car, and you would have thought we were in the middle of Botswana trying to find a gas station. We were so nervous. He turned into a crazy man, like a lunatic. I said, we've got 60 miles to go. We'll find a gas station. Got to pull over immediately. Somebody needs to find a gas station. Somebody get out. the next exit, we'll get off and get gas, John. Don't worry about it. You get on the computer. Get on it right now. Find a gas station. There's a gas station. And you're like that with the tire pressure? Mm-hmm. So when your light goes on in the tire in the car, you stop?
No.
What do you do?
Frankly, I ignore it for a while, and then it comes on again. I'm like, now I've got a problem. Or if do
you get out and test it?
Oh yeah, but again, that's why I thought that ad was funny. Just the dialogue in the ad. Oh, what does it mean? Does it mean it's moody? Is it this? Is it that? I just thought it was a funny take on. Let's go back to why that caught my eye. Advertising works when I see myself in the ad, and
you saw yourself as a little.
When the light comes on,
you saw yourself as the scared woman with.
Well, she's not scared.
Yes, she is.
No, she is not. She's disgusted.
She could have just gone out and put her tire gauge on a thing and saw that she was a pound or too low, too hot out. You have to go there. I'm sure they sold her a tire. You went to go get a tire the other day. You're not telling that story. I thought that's a story you were going to tell. John had a little bubble coming out of his tire, and he goes.
It's the size of an egg.
Said to him, I said, go. He said, should I get? Yes, you should get it. Just get a new tire. He goes to get a new tire. I forget wherever you went. They try to convince him he needs 4 new tires. So John's going to put 4 new tires on the car. He said, you're absolutely crazy. Yeah. You think every time anybody got a flat tire, they put all new 4 tires on a car? Well, I know that it might ride differently in the tread. You get 1 tire.
So I got 1 tire.
And you're fine.
I was perfectly happy being directed down that path.
What if you bought 4? I'd be pissed.
You would be, because...
I mean, you'd be pissed too, though. Well, you didn't have to buy 4 tires.
I agree. I totally agree.
But that's why you like that ad, too, because supposedly they're not going to press you at the discount tire.
Supposedly they're not. That's true. And that's what I hate about this whole class of stuff. I get the car oil changed at like Amco or something, and the guy that owns, or Jiffy Lube upstate, and the guy that owns it is a huge VW fan. And one day I had gone and gotten a bolt taken out of a tire, causing air pressure problem. And the guy said, hey, by the way, these rotors are worn. And so, they walk you out, they show it to you. I think it looks like a worn rotor. I really don't remember what rotors look like. I only helped my dad do the brake pads, stuff, so.
They're rusty.
They're rusty. Well, guess what? So they change the rotors. I go in to have the car checked for inspection and oil change later. The owner of the store says, your car has brand new rotors. And I said, yeah. I said, the other ones were worn. He goes, He goes, the rotors that shipped on your car are rated for 60,000 miles. He goes, they're really rated for 60. He says, tires, they tell you 60, you get 45, maybe you get 40. Rotors are real. He goes, they're supposed to be rusty. They're under the car. Yeah. He goes, where'd you have this done? I told him. He goes, I hate that place. They lie to people. He went to him, bump, and I was like, where am I supposed to go? He goes, well, from now on, go to Walmart. Well, Walmart's the one that says you need 4 tires. So guess what? They're all upselling or playing a game, which I hate. All right, what caught your eye?
Yeah. So this one, I read this and then I don't know. I'll see what you think about it. So the headline is, some straight men avoid using reusable bags to avoid looking gay. So they said, imagine a straight man saying, yo, dude, I brought this tote bag for my groceries, no homo. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? No homo.
Means I'm not gay even though I did a gay thing.
Oh.
No homo.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
So so I'll ask you guys, do you think that when you see, will you guys bring reusable totes into grocery stores?
I do.
No.
Do you think people think differently of you? Or do you think differently of people you see with reusable totes? Guys, you think they're a little soft?
Maybe like 10 years ago, but not now.
No.
Good point. Yeah,
Never thought about it, yeah.
I never thought about it either. So it says, sounds ridiculous, yet new research from Penn State shows that both men and women question a man's sexuality if he engages in pro-environmental behavior, such as the feminine reusable bag. They said that was a very feminine thing initially, with men using these reusable totes. They said the same goes for women, however. They said when women try to do the right thing by Mother Nature and do masculine pro-environmental behaviors, people look at them differently as well, such as caulking windows. So they said that these gender non-conforming things, so if a guy hung out his clothes on the line, he'd be perceived as being gay. And if a woman was checking the air pressure on her tires, she would be perceived as being a lesbian, even though both are straight.
Yeah.
There was these gender conforming roles of Men should not use reusable totes, but women can.
This has to
Men
be,
can do caulking of windows, but women can't.
This is a uniquely American thing, by the way, right? So
Well, it didn't say that.
Europeans have been using reusable bags for a lot longer than us, and if you happen to be French or live in France or Spain, even in the UK, electricity is so expensive that people always air dry their clothes, men and women. But here, that would be, I just think it's kind of weird.
Yeah, so the participants in the study tended to rely on gender roles to assess a person's sexuality. Men who engaged in masculine pro-environmental behaviors and women who engaged in feminine ones are viewed as more heterosexual than those who engaged in gender nonconforming behaviors. And they said if being seen as heterosexual is important to a person, that person may prioritize gender conforming over gender nonconforming environmental behaviors. Can you believe somebody studied this?
Yes, I can. They got a grant for it probably, right?
So they said that just think of all the straight dudes whose fragile masculinity keeps them from going green. So yeah. So they said that a lot of guys particularly won't use the reusable totes because people think they're gay. Now, I always see people at the Trader Joe's, bringing the bags in, and I do have a certain opinion of them. I usually think when I see the ladies, they're lesbians in a Subaru. And I'm usually right. I follow them back to the car. They got cat food, litter.
I bet they're just as equally as afraid of the low pressure light as I am, with their little bags and their cats and their,
Well, I think they're probably a little more aggressive. They probably got a tire gauge.
more aggressive. They don't let that light get in their way. Don't let that light get out that little. And by the way, what a funny thing, the tire. Remember those the little plastic?
You have one?
Yeah, sure we do. But
you don't use it?
I use it, yeah. But my favorite device is there's a gas station upstate that is a digital air thing.
You like the digital one?
You plug in the exact PSI you want, and it beep 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 when your tire hit. I like that. I'm like, I want exact.
You're a lot like Richard with the tire thing.
I am surprised at you, actually.
Why?
You know where I learned this behavior from? From you.
No, I think you have to maintain your car and take care of your car, but you can't be, you can't, listen, cars are a problem now. I think they put too much electronic and computer stuff in them, and there's too much going wrong. My car's had some meltdowns with the electronic system.
Wait. Some meltdowns?
Several.
Your whole car melted down to the point where they didn't even know how to fix it, and they basically hauled it off, excused your lease, and you got to go into a new car.
But I think, that's a problem with all vehicles now, is they're so reliant on all this computer software that the slightest little thing can make it seem like a disaster, and it's not really.
And you just said something that you did teach me. You have to be aware of your equipment. I mean, if you draw the line there and just say, no, how's your oil? If you're going on a big car trip, maybe you're driving over a 3-day period, yeah, check the tires, make sure the oil is okay. I obsess about it because I don't want those lights on, and the only one that's ever come on for me is the tire thing. And the other thing the car does, I don't know if your car does it too, when it goes below 39 degrees, it chimes.
Yeah.
Scares the crap. Then I look at it and there's a snowflake on the dashboard. I'm like, okay.
Just let you know the bridge may freeze before the road.
Yeah, exactly. But does it need to scream out?
You got to do what Brian at AdMark 360 did with his car. He just used to put black tape over everything.
No way, really?
He had a Nissan Pathfinder and the lights would never shut off, so he just took black electrical tape and put it over everything.
So what you don't see?
You don't see it.
You don't see doesn't bother you. Okay.
Yeah. Business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
Born today, August 14th, 1954. He's 65. Robert Eckhart. I don't know much about him, and there wasn't much written about him either, but he's an American businessman or business person, chairperson, and CEO of Mattel from 2000 to 2011. Prior to that, from 97 to 2000, he was CEO of Kraft Foods. He's currently an operating partner with a private equity firm.
Wait. From food to toys.
Which is the same thing.
Well, I guess it's packaged goods, right?
Yep. He received his bachelor's degree in business from the University of Arizona and his MBA from Northwestern. He joined Mattel as chairman and chief executive officer after he left Kraft, Kraft being the largest U.S.-based packaged food company in the world. He was there for a number of years. He rose up to be obviously president and chief executive before he was recruited to go to Mattel. And Mattel was named Fortune magazine's 100 best companies to work for 4 years in a row. Also has a great rank in the Corporate Responsibility Index. Headquarters is in El Segundo, California. How many people do you think work for Mattel? In 43 countries.
43 countries.
Sells products in more than 150 nations.
What if I said 28,000 worldwide?
Close, 31,000.
Oh, okay.
You know what their tagline is? I didn't know they had a tagline.
What is it? Oh, fun makes kids. What it's like.
Creating the future of play.
Oh, someone doesn't like that tagline.
Stupid. They don't need a tagline. Creating the future of play. You know them from their toys such as Barbie, which is the most popular fashion doll ever produced.
And there's Ken. Tim put up
Hot Wheels, American Girl, Fisher-Price brands. And so he left in 2012, and he's now, as I said, with a private equity firm, also non-executive director at Strauss, McDonald's, and Amgen. Yeah, I put up that little Ken, that
You have
Earring
that,
Magic
right?
Ken, which I have. It's still this came out in 1992. It's still surprising to me because
Yeah, look at this. If
all
you're
you have
watching,
to do is look at it.
If you're all you have to do is look at
Earring Magic Ken. Look at what's around his neck.
that because he earned the nickname Cockring Ken, right?
Yeah. And they got bought up like crazy. I was living in Chicago at the time. Marianne and I ran out to the CVS. They had them. Or no, it was
Do you get them on sale? You're
it was
gonna
the Walgreens. They had them there for sale. We laughed when we bought them. I still have one in a box. But who okayed that? He's in a lavender vest, a pink shirt, a silver
the ring, the thing that
silver
looks.
ring around his neck, and the earrings, and the blue eyes, and the frosted hair.
Well, you know,
Someone said, "Okay, let's make it."
he's L.A. He's like a surfer dude.
Is that what you think it was?
I think there's a very L.A. influence there. Yeah, I mean, they gave him the blonde
What was
hair,
supposed to be around his neck?
a necklace, but they put that ring thing around it. That's why he got the nickname. I mean, all the
You know what's around his neck.
Good birthday, very good birthday.
Yeah. So, hey, those of you who are fans of the show know that Deep Discount has been partners of us here for quite a while. Be sure to go to focusgroupradio.com to own your passion. Just click on the Deep Discount logo when you go to Focus Group Radio and start shopping away. That way we get credit for it. And I think we have, back by popular demand, we've got a visitor today with
The
us.
original Sharky.
Who's with us?
He's from Rehoboth, and he's
Is this
here.
the Sharky?
Steve's gonna zoom in. I'm wearing the green opera glove, so he
You
fades.
think
out.
you think it's gonna work?
Let's see.
Sharky the Shark.
He's here for savings. I swim deep for savings.
We're trying to get the camera to work, I think.
Yeah. And I want to mention that our friend, there we go, but you have to make him bigger. I have to mention that our friend Lauren's husband, John, had a birthday last week.
Did.
So Sharky says, John, I'm wishing you the best of birthdays. Dive deep
He could have been our business
for
birthday.
savings.
Go sideways. There he is. Oh,
You know something? I'm here to save you money with deep discount. Tim, tell them what the sale is today.
God.
You gotta. I'm getting the flourish. You gotta do the flourish.
I think you got to spend a little more time on your male model, Dolly. That's what I think you need to do. Are you trying to get the words right? What's the sale? So the sale, Sharky,
Tim is jealous of the
Dar-
puppet, even though it came from a town he lives in called Rehoboth.
It's documentaries and special interest sale. I love a documentary. So we've got some documents. So what did Sharky the Shark find this week for the
Tim,
documentaries?
I found a documentary. I dove down to the treasure chest at the bottom of the sea. And I brought up with me a movie called Breaking Habits. Let me read you the description, and you'll know why I got this film from Deep Discount. Happy birthday, John.
This is as bad as a Carson skit.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the great Karnak. Nuns, guns, and cannabis. Meet Sister Kate. Hi, Sister Kate. Former corporate executive, reborn rebel, and founder of Sisters of the Valley, California's fastest growing marijuana farm, providing medical cannabis to those in need. This is her journey. Buy this disc.
Is this what is this
Documentary.
about pot?
Yeah. And well, it's specifically about a nun I think it's before legalization of cannabis, at least for medical use, who helped provide medical cannabis to those in need. But how else what a great intro, Tim. Nuns, nuns, guns, and cannabis.
Guns, and cannabis. There you go. It's perfect. I picked something a little similar, I guess. Not really. It's called Secret Societies, Belief Systems of the Ruling Elite. And this came out last year in August of 2018. It's one of those manufactured on demand discs, which I think are pretty cool. But you can get it on DVD for $15.79. And it goes through a lot of the different secret societies that have been part of the U.S., so things like the Freemasons. Or I was wondering whether they also talked about like Skull and Bones, which I think has a lot of big influence in the U.S. So I've always been fascinated by these secret societies. If you or no, you have no interest. It's kind of science fiction-y, isn't it?
I'm playing you as the shark. Well, yes, it's kind of like the Freemasons. You just said them, right?
Yeah, it says we travel back in time to the origin of the Illuminati and the Freemasons and many more, and we reveal how they all are subtly linked at the core. From a system created thousands of years ago, we discover the hidden belief systems of the members and their roles in society as the ruling elite of the world. So it's, I think it'd be an interesting watch. So that's why I picked that one.
And guess what, folks?
I was going to say, what's your sale?
Today's sale is right up Tim's alley. Again, I dove to the bottom and I brought up. Look, watch him. I brought up treasure.
God.
Look at Tim. Look.
So bad.
I Love Lucy, colorized collection with a free magnet on DVD. So
I would like to get this. So I saw.
Why don't you read the actual?
Well, I saw. So they've colorized these, and actually, Matt Bogart, our producer, had sent us a list. They actually released some of these in the movie theaters now. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go see them. I was curious. I know Frank DeCaro went, and I wanted to hear how he liked them.
Fathom Entertainment did it, I think.
Is that who it was? So everybody knows who I Love Lucy is, but they've colorized a number of the episodes, and so this set that you can get for the great price of only $21.99 on DVD includes many of the episodes: Pioneer Women, Lucy Does a TV Commercial, Job Switching, The $1 Million Idea, Bonus Bucks, LA at Last, Lucy Gets Some Pictures, The Fashion Show, Gromans. I don't like this.
Marks.
The one I don't like, if there's an ever I Love Lucy episode I turn off, it's Lucy Goes to Scotland. I've always hated that one.
If you had said to me, guess which one I don't like, I would have said Scott.
I've never ever
like that
watched it. I've never liked it.
The whole McGillicuddy thing.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was not a
good.
But you know, in the arc of all the shows, to have one or two
duds,
that's still.
There's a couple duds, but I think what a great addition to have, and it's weird to see that stuff in color.
And is this the Christmas show with the baby Jesus?
I don't think so.
There is an unaired Christmas show where Ethel keeps stealing the baby Jesus from the main.
They said it would never air again.
They only did it once?
I don't think they ever aired it, yeah. They said it was very sacrilegious. I think they ripped the head off of Jesus or something. I don't know what happened, but it's like they will never show the Seinfeld episode again with the Puerto Rican Day Parade. It's never to be run on syndication. No, remember Kramer takes the Puerto Rican flag to put the fire out?
Yeah,
burns the flag.
and then one of them is stuck in a car as the parade. Yeah,
They said it will never run in syndication again. Too offensive. Although, you know, as I was watching Seinfeld the other day, it could never run now.
Yeah, a lot of them.
They were a full-time offender.
Yeah. All right. So, again, focusgroupradio.com is where you need to go. Look for the shark logo. It's the Deep Discount logo. Arr! We have the puppet appear. Happy birthday again, John, our friend from Deep Discount. I picked in the documentary and special interest sale a movie called Breaking Habits about a nun who helps people with medical cannabis. How can you resist the cover? I mean, she's got the habit on and she's holding a cannabis plant. Tim, you picked...
I picked the Secret Society's Belief Systems of the Ruling Elite.
Which is a utter... You have been very fascinated by that for a long time.
Well, you know, I used to watch the stuff about Skull and Bones. I'm still fascinated by Skull and Bones. For instance, John Kerry and George Bush...
All Skull and Bones.
Who both ran against each other, but they have this bond that they won't talk about. I'd like to know what's going on.
And the release this week for all you Lucy fans, and if you're not, this is a great set to pick up. I Love Lucy colorized collection with a free magnet on DVD. Garrett, what do we say?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we have a shop talk about Berlin. We'll leave it at that.
You know, Mnuchin's a Skull and Bones guy, too. Which is odd.
We all know each other then.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John Nash. My voice is still bad. I still have that respiratory
Getting over
thing.
your sinus infection.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, because you have that.
It was allergies.
No.
Losing my
your allergy
voice.
medicine?
I feel like Stevie Nicks. Yeah.
Wait
Taking all kinds of
baby.
medicine. Baby.
I'm gonna save it. By the way, I still love that band. What a journey we've been on today. We have the doll, we have the engine light thing. I provided such fodder for the show today, right?
Well, it's sad because I think sometimes, well, we had the reusable bag. Do you use a reusable? We never actually mentioned whether you use a reusable bag.
Yes. And the reusable bag that I use most often has a picture of. I'm not even going to tell you what it is.
What is it?
I'm not going to
tell me. It's a little Star Wars thing.
It's a Star Wars thing. It's Luke and Darth with crossed lightsabers. I'm at the grocery store the other day, and it's a small bag for like small stuff. So the woman's putting the stuff in, and she goes, "You like that Star Wars, don't you?" But it was so like, what are you doing with this bag? Anyway. If you leave Tim speechless, then you've achieved something. What to say? You've known me since high school, and yet I know.
Surprised. You're still dragging around that little Star Wars bag. I mean, for God's sakes.
Well, I'm not still dragging around. It was
Would you take a Hello Kitty bag?
If I could find one, I would do Hello Kitty. Or one time I was on a flight down to, where were we going? We were going to Barbados, and there was a young Japanese woman sitting next to, across the aisle, and she had a bag. And the bag had this little cartoon on it, and it says Mr. Junko, like Mr. J-U-N, Mr. Junko. And then it says, we were fascinated by the English thing, because underneath it says, "In here, small things find good home."
Yeah.
Mr. Junko, in here.
Did you want the bag?
Well, we wanted the bag only because of the English thing. And then years later, you gave us T-shirts from a site that...
Happy Joy.
Yeah, it just... Bob still wears his now and then.
Come on, my party.
His was a flag. It was the...
England.
Yes. All right. Now, as to our shop.
Listen, when you go to Japan, and I haven't been in 15 years, but, you could just go to the store and buy that stuff. It was great. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was the wink and a nod.
The instructions for my little posable man doll were in Japanese, and half of them don't make sense. I mean, it's like,
Was it translated?
It was literally like someone, like, "You will see here your doll, which is succeeding the female doll. If you are to bend the shoulders, which you can do, but please be." I mean, it's all like,
I laugh because, and we used to always say this to the Japanese nationals. We were all friendly, and we said, "You are the most westernized, one of the most advanced, biggest economies in the world, most westernized of any of the Asian nations. All of you just about speak English. There's plenty of English speakers here. Why don't you fix the directions or any of the signage?"
They smile or
just laugh. Because it is so fun. I mean, it's almost as if it's a wink and a nod of ha ha ha. It's my way to get, because the stuff just doesn't make sense.
Didn't you tell me once that you caught them making fun of American accents? Or
when we say, how somebody will make fun of the way a Chinese person will speak, ching 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 ching, ching, say something like that, or will ha ha ha. Yeah. We try to pretend or mimic a way somebody would speak in a foreign language, and so they must do it about English. So I said, "How do you make fun of English? What do you want to say, the English people?" And they all laughed, and then they said,
"That's what they."
So they hear the of all the S's and everything. So if you think about the way we talk, and if you just listen, and lots of ings and
and they laughed when they told you this. See, that's what's missing nowadays. To have that kind of conversation now, I mean, we're having it, but I don't know.
Well, they do have a little bit of sense of humor. I remember one time I was serving kamikazes on December 7th at the office. And it was late at night. It was the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and all of a sudden a couple of Japanese guys came in. I'm like, "Oh my God. And what are you doing?" I said, "We're having kamikazes. It's Pearl Harbor Day." And they just looked at me and they said, "Oh." And then they very deadpan, December 8th for us. Is there a day ahead? And off they went.
And all they December 8th for us. See, how hilarious!
Like
is that?
December 7th.
Oh no.
Oh, December 8th for us.
Bye bye. Enjoy your kamikazes. Yeah, I love those stories because again, it relates to the fact that they're people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What was our story?
Well, our story is one that you found, which there are two basic.
Fraught with issues.
Well, all right. The headline reads, Drive-in sex booths proposed for Berlin's historic Tempelhof Airport. So Berlin's former Tempelhof Airport has witnessed some major events in its time. A Nazi airfield during World War II. It was the site of the Berlin airlift during the Cold War, and most recently an emergency shelter for refugees fleeing Syria. In 2008, it was taken out of service and transformed into a gigantic park. And Berliners can now be seen rollerblading down its former runways on summer evenings or riding bikes. But the airfield may soon take on less wholesome role if one local politician has his way. And so there's a district in Berlin called the Mitte.
I knew you were going to do this. This is a district in Berlin.
Okay.
We don't know German.
It's Mitte. So Mitte.
Any of you speak German in the booth? Mitte? No.
That could be like what was the comedian? Catherine Tate. There's a sketch she does where she does this character. I can do that. Someone goes, "We lost our translator for the big conference." She goes, "I can do that." You know the one I'm talking about. And she sits down in front of the Swedish person, and they all like are aghast that she's just doing what we did with it. Anyway, so the issue seems to be that residents in a certain area of the city. There seems to be a lot of prostitution, right? But the way I read the article, there seems to be enough of it going on that they actually have to move it to the airport. Did you get the same thing out of it that I did?
They want to take it out of the busy high class area and control it a little better.
And they want to put it in a drive-in booth.
Yeah. Well, they were going to make little booths at the airport so you could just drive in and have your sex. Either, I guess, in the car or in the booth. Have the sex worker set up in the booth, and you can either drive.
So this politician, Steven Van Dassel, says residents and businesses have been calling for a ban on street prostitution for many years. Yet he notes that the Berlin Senate has refused to implement regulatory restrictions because it fears a deterioration of the overall situation. Then he says he is now proposing a restriction on street prostitution in the district, instead offering sex workers booths in controlled areas in a bid, he says, to improve the lives of residents and sex workers alike.
And they said a lot of these women that are forced into prostitution by the pimps don't necessarily have. So they say it's a safety. There's a safety issue. There's a big health issue. And they said by putting it or regulating it a bit more, like they've done in a number of other cities, and they actually said in the city of Cologne they've done this in 2001, and they've done it in other areas of Europe as well. They've done it in Zurich, Bonn, is that how you say it? Bonn, and Bonn and Essen, and they also have done it, or they talked about how they tried to do it in Paris. And it didn't work so well there. But in these other areas, they think that it's worked well. Way back in the 80s, the very first sex booths appeared in the Netherlands. And they think this would be a good way to control not only the prostitution out in the open, but also be a safer environment for the sex workers as well as, I guess, for the patrons. Hey, listen, people have been doing and paying for sex forever, right? For prostitution.
It's not called the oldest profession in the world.
Why not regulate it? And
was your takeaway? I bet you're going to. I'll say this. You'll probably agree with me. My other takeaway was we don't even have discussions like this in the United States. This is distinctly a European thing. Yeah, they acknowledge the behavior. They know it's real. It is a business. People are involved. Human beings are involved. Let's make sure they're being taken care of. This would get
not exploit people. Although Nevada had legalization, right, at the Bunny Ranch and some places, and I don't know if they. I guess they still do, but I'm surprised it hasn't caught on in the rest. I guess maybe I'm not surprised. I mean, people still won't make a cake for somebody who's gay.
Well, I don't know
if we'd offer sex drive-in booze.
Well, and take one of the biggest, one of the most influential industries in terms of technology and adaptation or adopting things is porn. So porn decided the future of VHS versus Betamax. You know this, right? Like whatever that they went for, that was the format that won. DVDs are kind of here, and suddenly porn's on DVD. Boom, DVD. Online, whatever. There are regulations about workers in the sex industry, or the adult entertainment industry. They do have get-togethers and dinners, and there are regulations about health and stuff. But it's always talked about in such a
taboo.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's such an integral part of who we are, and this has been going on for years. So that's why I found this article to be at first like, oh, weird. They're going to be driving into a booth in an old airport. But then when I thought about it, I thought, wait a minute, they're actually talking about something we would never talk about in the open, I think.
Well, and it's like, I guess, in Amsterdam, where the actual sex workers there are tested for venereal disease or HIV or other sexually transmitted diseases, make sure they have a clean bill of health.
And now in Amsterdam, in the red light district, they used to. If you ever been there, have you ever heard of that?
I've never been to the Netherlands.
All right, so we need to go. It's one of Bob's favorite countries and favorite cities is Amsterdam. I love it to death. It's such a humane and cool city. It's changed a lot, like many of our areas of Europe, thanks to the influx of different nationalities and religions. So it's not quite as open and the Dutch are very known for being open. But in the red light area, the red light district, there are storefronts for women sit on a chair or they sit in a window. And sometimes they're reading a book. They're knitting. I mean, that's indicative of what's inside that building.
Are they dressed?
Yeah, very scantily or kind of sexy outfit. Now they have men doing it too. So
really,
yeah. So you could go in and I thought that
is it a negotiation or is it set price?
I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going to say that it must be a negotiation on some level. What do you want? I want this. Okay.
You boys ever been to Amsterdam? They're not going to tell us.
No, I wish.
Would you go?
Yeah, why not?
Would you partake?
Well, I have a girlfriend.
I know if you didn't have a girlfriend.
It doesn't really
appeal to you?
My friends that have gone and said it's kind of weird because any good-looking girl, you're 20th in line that day kind of thing.
You mean there's no
broken in, ready to go?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Think about that.
Oh my God! We are all a bunch of.
Do you think? Well, do you think there's a limit on the day? How much you can do in a day?
Well,
I think
it
it's
depends.
up to the girl, right? How much they want to make, I would assume.
And here's one for you. There was an article that came out. I forget what it was. Either Paper Magazine or it was one of these like independent press kind of like Village Voice or something. And they had an interview with two people. One was a female sex worker and one was a male sex worker. And they both said something that was fascinating, that 80% of their clients didn't even want to touch them. So let's say they had 10 encounters a day. 7 to 8 of those would result with them just being someone's companion or sitting with them.
To talk?
Just to talk. I was shocked. And they
go to Starbucks and get a coffee.
Well,
sit and talk to somebody.
The one woman, the woman they interviewed said sometimes it involved a little more than that, caressing, whatever, some touching, but she said it wasn't like every time she went to a client's, it was full on, let's get going. Often, she said some of her favorite clients were the people that would have her over, or they'd have tea, whatever. Like, they're paying for companionship, right?
I do have a friend of mine a woman hired a man to come over. And you have to hear her tell the story. So she hires the man to come over to be her companion for the hour or so. And she wanted a specific thing done. And he wanted to have intercourse. And she said, no, that's not what I want. She wanted something else from him. And he goes, well, I don't want to do that. He said, I'd like to have intercourse. She said, well, then you pay me. She threw him out. I laughed.
I don't even know where where you find all this anymore.
Find a man. She lives in New York. She must have called him up.
Yeah, but if before the internet,
I guess it was all taken down now. You're not allowed to.
Well, a lot of these sites.
Companionship.
Yeah, I don't know how they. Yeah.
You boys have done other shows here. Can you find sex workers to come in? We should interview a couple.
How many do you want?
Have other shows had them on?
Oh, God.
Garrett, how many do you want?
Yeah.
what gender, non-specific.
So how do people find them? Is it on a website? Because a lot of it's hidden now, right?
Oh, yeah, I don't know how people. A lot of porn stars now just have like booking things on their Twitter.
Oh,
Really?
you know,
Yeah.
Garrett, you're right. A lot of the adult entertainment workers have social media ways of connecting with them.
They have like private
So
Snapchats.
you do a
have to-
DM or something?
You have to
Oh,
pay
okay.
a month for, and then you can get in that way.
And they
yeah.
put up language saying that if you're
Available.
paying them, it's only for companionship,
Yeah.
and that's a legal way for them to do all that with. That's interesting. Garrett's probably right. I bet it is a lot through social. About 2 or 3 years ago, if you were gay and you wanted to hire, the big thing was what was it?
Rent Boy, wasn't it? Rent Boy.
Rentboy.com, maybe it was No, it was Rentboy. Yeah, and the feds took down the owner for all these tax issues.
Did he go to jail or something?
He did go to, and there was a plea deal, and the money had to be paid. But the Times actually had an article that ran about 4 months after the site was taken down, and they interviewed 2 of the guys that used to advertise on there. One of them told a heartbreaking story of how this is how he made his money. He lived with his father. His father was disabled, so whatever he was making doing his companionship business.
Look at how nice you are. His companionship.
Well, you know, that's what. But again, if 7 out of 10 of these encounters is just hi, how are you doing? Not a bad way to make a buck. But he was paying for medical stuff, and that and then he said once that site was down, they had no way of connecting with their customers because that was such an ingrained thing for some of these people.
Oh.
So I guess they probably figured out other ways to do that, but I don't know if there's any monolithic site anymore. And I think there must have been one for the non-gay people.
I sometimes feel sorry for people along the way that I've known that have done that to make ends meet in something, and I have felt sorry for them for doing it because I thought sometimes it might have been more of an act of desperation. But
I went to there was an academic book that was published about 5 years ago. It was called The Male Sex Worker, and it was a huge.
I remember that book. We were going to interview the guy,
and it was a big result of a big clinical study where it was about health. It was about psychological health, emotional health, and they interviewed. There's a chapter where they interview a couple of the people, and some of these guys. It wasn't anything to be sad about. They liked what they did.
Yeah.
They enjoyed it. It was a way. This is how they were wired. They enjoyed meeting people and doing this. I think we put a lot of judgment on stuff like that just by nature of the fact of what it is.
Well, I never thought about the fact that it really is just companionship. Maybe you're just somebody talking. I could do that. I'll make a buck.
Ding dong! Oh my God! I have Tim Bennett.
I thought we were just talking.
I have Tim Bennett from the focus group here. We're going to talk.
Coffee?
I know some of our listeners would actually probably be quite happy if they answered the door and Tim was there for companionship.
Well, you never know, John. Everyone's got a price.
It's all right. Well, we're going to wrap it up there, folks. We want to thank
Garrett. Everyone's got a prize. Look at Garrett in there smiling.
We want to thank you for spending your time with us today. I certainly do hope you learned something.
Well, it's been quite a day,
Covered
John.
a gamut from
The
low
dolly,
pressure
the
lights
tires,
to dollies,
prostitution,
to Berlin sex
My
booths,
goodness.
and they went to deep discount land. And Sharky came out and wished John a happy birthday out west. Lauren's husband. Anyway, thanks to Deep Discount for being with us here on the Focus Group. It's the documentary and special interest sale. I picked Habits. Tim picked a movie about secret societies, which actually sounds cool. And
Belief systems of the ruling.
Colorized Lucy with fridge magnet set is available at DVD. That's the release of the week. We want everybody to not text and drive and arrive alive, and we'll see you in the new week.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.